Hello you lot, how you all doing? I've had a question from a subscriber about what to do with a brand new Nitro car, and you think you should do, how to get it running and things like that. Now I've had a message since then to say that he's got it running, but he still wants to know a few bits and bobs. So I thought it would make a video of it and help quite a few of you people out at the same time with it. So I'm just going to clear this bench. I'm going to clear off this box of microfiber cloths. And we'll get an FTX Carnage on the bench, because that's what the question was about, the FTX Carnage. And we'll have a look from there. Oh, by the way, some of you may be interested to know, this this Bugster, the FTX Bugster, took it out at the weekend and the motor burnt out. I was on just ordinary grass, about that thick, it wasn't very thick grass at all. And the motor caught fire. Burnt out, started smelling of plastic, and that burnt, so gonna have to get a new motor for it at some point. I only had, what battery did I have in it at the time? What battery is that one? I think that's the 1800 one, that one. Had that battery in it, and not even a LiPo or nothing. And you can't run LiPos on these ones, and the motor burnt out, so there'll be a video coming up soon, putting a new motor in that. Probably a new ESC. I don't know whether that got too hot and burned out. It does still work, but it's very weak now. Anyway, let's go and get the Carnage. Alright then, so an FTX Carnage. Things to look out for and to do when they're brand spanking new. In general, generally speaking, these are, well, they should be set up. I mean, look, you always get the wheels. I don't really know what every single Nitro car that you get, the wheels are always out of line, the camber's wrong, but you sort all that out later. I still haven't done it on this car, but you sort all that out at a later date. So really, as far as the engine goes, it should come out the factory with a tune on it, set up for breaking in. So it should be rich, it should be, you know, it should be just right. It should start up reasonably well. A lot of people have trouble starting up a brand new engine, especially if they're inexperienced and don't really know how to start a Nitro engine, because they're usually quite tight, and you know, because it's jetted rich, it can be difficult to start. So don't worry about it. You've got a brand new engine, you got, you know, don't worry about messing around with any of the jetting, with any of the needles or anything like that. Just make sure you've got a fully charged glow starter, prime it up nicely. I recommend using the method of taking that pipe off the exhaust and blowing down. It pressurizes the nitro tank and pushes it into the carb. A lot of people put their thumb over the exhaust and pull on the pull start or turn on the roto start. It does the same thing. All that does is the compression from the engine then goes down the exhaust, can't get out because your thumb is in the way, and it goes back up this pipe and pressurizes that. I just prefer to just blow down it. It's just what I do. Give it a good prime, and you should start up relatively easy. If you're having trouble starting it, sometimes they might be a little bit too rich. Every engine's different. It doesn't matter. You can have two brand spanking new engines, right? Brand spanking new engines, two of them, made in the same factory, one after another, and they'll be different. They'll have different characteristics, they'll have different mannerisms. They'll just be two different engines. Even once they're broken in and run and been run, they'll still be two different engines. They won't behave in the same way, and that's just not for Nitro. That's for every engine. You know, tractors, cars, strimmers, lawnmowers. You could have two lawnmowers come off the production line, one after another, and they'll be different. One might be a bit weak, a bit low in power, might burn a bit of oil. The other one will be nice and powerful and strong. You know, it's just the way engines are in general. Anyway, back to the old Nitro engine. If you're having trouble starting it up, don't get into a panic. Don't get into a bit of a, you know, a frustrated stew, as a lot of people tend to do. They get a bit frustrated because, I mean, you can understand it, can't you? You've got a brand new Nitro car, just turned up, you know, it's all nice and shiny. You can't wait to go and get it running and have a go of it. And what happens? It won't start. So what do? You get frustrated, you get annoyed. You know, you start to get a bit of a sweat on, and you start to just kick things and just get really annoyed and disappointed and then shout at things. Some people are like that. There's no need for that. Stay nice and calm. It's not broken, there's nothing wrong with it in most cases. It's just the fact that you're reasonably inexperienced. So what you need to do, if you're having trouble starting it, you can turn in that low speed needle, which is down there. Give it a little turn clockwise, just a small one. Or you can also turn the high speed needle, but the low speed one's the one you want to look at really. But the high speed one will make a difference. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care for any of the people out there that are going to say the high speed one's only for high speed. It won't make a difference on low speed. It won't make a difference for ticking over. It won't make a difference for running in. Because it will, alright? My own experience. If you turn that high speed needle, although it's a high speed needle, it does have a small effect on the way the engine runs overall. So you need to bear that in mind. You can turn that in a little turn, and I'm talking like a gnat's cock of a turn. To lean it a little bit. You don't want to go leaning in it, you don't want to go messing around with it too much. And then it should start up. As long as you've got a fully charged glow starter, you just shouldn't need to do anything to the engine. A lot of the time the throttle is not set up properly, but we don't need to worry about that for braking the engine in. That's more of an after thing, you know, once you've done the braking. Because a lot of the time they come off the production line with a tune and a setup for breaking in. It's then down to you after you've ran the engine in and done your 2 or 3 tanks, whatever method you choose to do, whether you want to do 2 tanks on the stand and then 2 off the stand, 1 on the stand and 1 off, or all of them driving around. All the methods are completely fine, but the whole car, the engine, the throttle setup, the way the throttle's set up on the servos, everything, the way the transmitter's set up, it should, and usually is, all off the production line, with purely for running the engine in. So, you know, and after you've run the engine, it's down to you to adjust your throttle trims, it's down to you to adjust your throttle to make sure you're getting full throttle, it's down to you to adjust your tick over, it's down to you to do the tune. A lot of people just think that they come off the production line as they are and that's how they should be used. They might tweak the needle here and there to make it a bit leaner, but they don't ever adjust it. A lot of the time you do full throttle on the trigger and you only get in like 3/4 throttle in, you know, on the carb, because they've never adjusted the adjustments. You've got adjustment there, you've got adjustment on this, it turns, you know. You've also got adjustment on your servo horn. You can take it off and turn it so you get more throttle, less throttle, etc. There's loads of adjustments you need to do, but you can do that, you know, just from trial and error. You've got to experiment with it, you've got to play around with it. But that's an after running in thing. So the questions that I've been asked were purely for getting the Nitro car running when it's brand new. So that's, you know, you don't need to worry about any of that for running the engine in. So as I said, you can't really go wrong. Yeah, when you first get it, make sure the throttle isn't open, make sure it's closed. If you're worried about how to do that, just take your air filter out and you'll see in there that there should be no gap or very little gap on the throttle there. If you open it, you'll see it opens, you see it closes. So that is a good way of checking that. Make sure it's fully closed, because if you start it up it's going to rev up if it's open. So make sure it's closed, don't need to touch anything else, start it up and continue with with your running in process. That's really what you need to do when it's brand spanking new. So there we go. Not really a lot else to say. You know, after you've done your running, you can adjust your throttle trims, do a little bit of a tune. I've got loads of videos. I must have done 3 or 4 videos on tuning. I might do another one soon, but I've done loads of videos on tuning. You can do your tune after you've done your running. But yeah, I'm just going to have a little think to see if there's anything I've missed that people would probably have an issue with, because you know, usually when people are buying a car like this FTX Carnage, the low end Nitro car, it's because they're getting into the hobby and they're very inexperienced. That's why they have issues. So let me just have a quick little think to see if there's anything else I've missed out, and you know, that people might have an issue with. And yeah, if not, I have to I might come back with a tuning video on this Carnage, see if we can get it tuned up. But give me a sec, I'll have a little think. I can't really think of anything else, you lot. Can't really think of anything else that people tend to get stuck on, so yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, when you get it brand new, just check the things, check the throttle, you know, that kind of stuff. Just give it a prime, give it a start, man. Like I say, you might need to give it a little bit of a lean, but not a lot. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yes, of course. It'll be in your instruction manual, the factory settings for your carb. If you're really having trouble starting it, you're sure the glow plug is and you're sure the glow plug is working, you've taken it out, you've tested it in the glow starter, you put it back, it's definitely working, but it won't start. So you look in your instruction manual, that'll tell you the settings, the factory settings for your carb. But if you turn it all the way in and do about 2.5 or 3 turns out, that'll be somewhere a good sort of baseline setting to reset them. But look in your instruction manual, because that will tell you exactly what it should be. But any questions about the FTX Carnage or anything else? I mean, there's not really a lot to sort of say. Nitro cars are very, very simple. So there's not some people expect a really complicated answer or a really complicated video, you know, on how to do it. You've got to do this, you haven't. They're very simple. Literally just put fuel in it, prime it, put a glow starter on it and pull it, and it will start. Maybe not start first time, especially if you're inexperienced, but it will. They're a bit like a horse or some sort of animal, you know. They can sense when it's an inexperienced person, you know, trying to get them to start, and they might be a little bit tricky. If you're an experienced person, it knows that, and it ain't going to play around, and it'll start straight up. So yeah, man, there. Have a good time, enjoy yourselves. Any questions, please put it in the comments. I'll make a video on anything, and I'll always help everybody out. So yeah, I'll catch you later on, you lot. I hope you enjoy your hobby, hope you enjoy your cars, and I might take this one out and do a tuning video on it, because I get a lot of questions about how to tune the FTX Carnage, because the FTX Carnage is a very popular car. So anyway, catch you lot later on.